Sean. I just got out of my doctor's appointment. The baby is doing really well. A bit on the small side, but she was moving around a lot during the ultrasound.
That's good for you.
What's wrong with you? I'm talking about our baby. Why do you always seem so uninterested when I talk about her?
Well, you should know by now that I've never liked kids. How do you expect me to show any interest in something I don't even like?
Because we decided to have this baby together. That's why. And we discussed all of this before we started to try getting pregnant. And we both agreed that we want this baby.
I don't exactly remember having any say in the decision, to be honest. You already had your mind made up even before we started talking about it.
Don't be silly. This isn't any kind of matter that should be taken lightly. I asked you very seriously to tell me what you thought about starting a family. Especially because you dislike children so much. I was even willing to give up my dream of becoming a mother, if that's what you preferred. But in the end, you said that maybe having one child might make your life that much more worthwhile. And you agreed that you wanted to see yourself become a father as well.
I only said that because it was the appropriate thing to do. You know, I have to keep up appearances for everyone's sake. But that's not to say that there was any bit of truth behind those words.
How could you even say such a thing?
Are we finished here? I have to get back to work now.
But this is more important. My due date is next month and you haven't told me yet whether you're planning to be in the delivery room with me or not. I need to inform the hospital if you're going to be there for the delivery. So I was hoping that you would make up your mind already.
Ew. Do I really need to be in the delivery room with you? You know that I'm not really good with blood and stuff.
Well, I would feel less anxious if you were there as well. I mean, giving birth isn't exactly an easy task. And it could be a pretty long process too, depending on how long the labor is. I just don't want to be all alone during that time.
Fine, I get it. Then let me call my mom to see if she can accompany you to the hospital when that time comes.
You're going to ask your mother to stand in for you for the delivery?
Yeah, and that way you won't be all alone. Besides, she's given birth herself, so she's much more familiar with the whole process than me. I would be totally clueless, so wouldn't you feel better to have someone there who's actually experienced a baby's birth?
That's not really the issue here. It's more so that I wanted you there for moral support.
I'm trying to make all of these suggestions so that you feel more comfortable about giving birth. But all you only come back with is more and more complaints. What more do you want from me?
I just thought that you would be as excited to meet this baby as I am. And it makes me sad that I'm the only one seriously thinking about what it means to become parents.
Oh, don't act like such a spoiled brat.
But it's true! You hardly come home in the evenings lately, and I can't even remember the last time you asked me about how the baby is doing. You don't even seem interested in my growing belly, and it just makes me really anxious and worried about how things are going to be when the baby is born.
So what are you trying to say? That I'm the bad guy here because I've been working late hours and putting in as much overtime as I can, just so I can provide a comfortable living for my family? I'm doing all of this for us.
I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong.
Well then, you could at least show some appreciation from time to time, you know? I don't get to lay around all day absorbed in my hobby all day like you.
I'm not just doing this as a hobby all day. Sure, it's something that I enjoy, but I design and make these clothes so that I can sell them online. How many times do I have to explain this to you? This is how I've been earning my money for the past 7 years.
You don't even make anywhere near what I earn from my job. So don't talk like you're making some major contribution to our household income.
There's no reason to insult my job like that.
Well, why do you think that we can even afford this house in the first place? And we're able to keep up a pretty good lifestyle, don't you think? It's because of what I earn from my job working those long hours. In any sense, who do you think you are messaging me in the middle of the workday with this kind of nonsense? I don't have time to be comforting you about every little ridiculous worry that you have. The next time you message me like this for nothing, I'm going to ignore you completely. Maybe next time you should think about whether it's something worth bothering your busy husband about during his workday before you send a message. But if you were a clever wife, That's what you would have done from the beginning.
I'm not trying to bother you with ridiculous complaints. I'm just feeling really anxious about this baby and just need some comforting words from you from time to time. That's all.
Oh, I get it. That's probably because of that disorder that pregnant women get.
What disorder are you talking about?
You know, how some women experience extreme anxiety and fatigue during their pregnancy. I remember that one of my colleagues at work was talking about it before.
Are you talking about prenatal depression?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure that it's not because of prenatal depression that I'm having these worries, though.
Well, either way, it's something that all pregnant women experience because having a baby changes everything. So stop complaining and just deal with it until the baby comes, because that's what everyone else does. And once the baby is born, you'll be so busy that you probably won't even have the time to be worrying about every little detail like this. It's just one more month until the baby is born, right? Like I said before, I don't have the time to be comforting you over every little minor breakdown that you have. How do you expect yourself to take care of a newborn baby when you're hardly able to manage your own moods?
I don't have a breakdown over every little thing, and I think it's pretty normal to be worried. And I've never asked you to comfort me about these things, but I do wish that you would at least show some compassion, or maybe some effort about your role as a father.
Sure. There's still time, so there's no point worrying about that now. Anyways, I have to meet my client for a meeting soon, so don't message me anymore unless it's something really important, okay? Goodbye.
My name is Vicky. I'm currently 32 years old and in my last month of pregnancy with my first child. My husband, Sean, is 3 years older than me, and we met as colleagues when I was still working a corporate job. I found him really attractive from the beginning and was drawn to his kind and outgoing personality, so I was really happy when he asked me out and we started dating. And then, when he asked me to marry him, I felt like the luckiest girl alive. He wanted me to stay at home full-time, though, so I gave in my resignation right after we got married. But right after that, his attitude towards me completely changed. Suddenly, he treated me as if I was worthless because I was no longer earning an income, and started insulting me for doing nothing at home. It became pretty obvious that he thought he was better than me for being the breadwinner in our household, and he became more and more demanding with time. Even in my 35th week of pregnancy right now, he still shows no sign of treating me with any respect or kindness. I feel so worried about bringing an innocent baby into such an environment, and can hardly sleep at night because of my anxiety. How can I possibly raise this baby with such an uncooperative husband? And whenever I try to share my feelings with him, he just uses his job as an excuse for not having any time to listen to my worries. In fact, he even went so far as to say this to me a week later. I just went for my weekly checkup at the OBGYN, and the doctor told me that I need to be hospitalized right away. Can you get here soon?
I'm in the middle of a meeting, so I don't think so.
Isn't there any way that you can get out of it? It's a pretty serious situation.
I just texted my mom and she said that she'll be right over. Can you send me the hospital address so that I can let her know?
What?
I'm visiting a client's office out of state right now, so there's nothing I can really do. Can't you guys manage somehow between the two of you?
You didn't even ask what's going on. Aren't you even the least bit worried?
Oh, please. I'm sure that everything is fine. You're not due until next month. Don't be such an attention seeker, because I really don't have time for these kinds of games.
Well, I think most husbands would be worried about the baby's well-being if he heard that his pregnant wife needs to be hospitalized in an emergency.
How many times do I have to tell you that I don't like kids? And that includes unborn babies as well.
You jerk! That's such a terrible thing to say!
Oh, and it turns out that this client visit isn't just going to end with this meeting. My boss wants me to stay on for a 5-day business trip, so I won't be home until next weekend. Anyways, my mom can take care of everything that you need while you're hospitalized, so you'll be okay, right? Don't worry, I'll call her myself and explain what's going on, so just leave all of that up to me.
And your mom is completely okay with this situation? The way you're leaving your pregnant wife in the hospital because you're away on business doesn't sound like the right thing to do.
I guess not. But I put on a good face in front of my parents and relatives, so they never questioned my integrity. Here, take a look at my conversation with my mom. Don't you think that I do a really good job of making myself sound like a really caring and appealing husband?
That sounds nothing like the real you.
I know, but she believes me, so that's what counts. You see how I told her how worried I am about you and the baby, and how much I want to rush to the hospital to be with you? I just told her exactly what she wants to hear. A little dramatic phrase here and there, and she totally believed me. She's so gullible, don't you think?
But it's all a lie. You didn't even express any bit of concern for me or the baby when I told you about being hospitalized.
Yeah, but it's my mom. She has no reason to question what I tell her, because of the trust we have as family. So of course she'll believe everything I say.
You're nothing but a double-faced jerk. You only put up a good front outside the home, and I totally fell for it when we got married. I wish I could go back in time and kick some sense into myself before making such a huge mistake. I can't believe how naive and stupid I was.
Well, if you're as fed up with me as you say, why don't we get a divorce?
What are you talking about?
To be honest, this isn't the first time that it's crossed my mind. I mean, I basically work myself into the ground so that I can provide a comfortable life for us. But it's not like you show any gratitude or respect towards everything that I do. And lately, you just spend all day in sweats and a hoodie, resting because you feel tired all the time.
Why are you bringing this up now? I'm a few weeks away from giving birth to our baby. Of course I'm tired and sluggish. I have this huge belly to carry around with me all the time.
Oh, and speaking of your pregnancy, don't you think that you've been acting really distant towards me since you found out that you were pregnant? I don't know if it's intentional, but you're definitely not as affectionate as you used to be. Anyways, you know what? I think it just makes sense for us to get divorced now.
You're kidding, right? You really couldn't have come up with a better time to discuss this?
I'm bringing it up because of this timing. You're in the hospital because of some complication, right? So if the baby doesn't survive, then I won't even have any obligation to pay child support. If there's a child in the picture, it'll just make things more difficult. So I'm glad that it'll be a clean-cut divorce process now.
What do you mean by that? You're actually relieved that there's a chance our baby doesn't make it?
You know it's true, though. Anyways, I even contacted a divorce lawyer and went for an initial consultation before. You'll find his contact in the top drawer of my desk in the den. Can you get in touch with him when you get discharged from the hospital? He should already have a draft of the divorce papers ready. Let me know if anything else comes up in the meantime, okay? See ya!
Wait! Don't you dare hang up! We're not done with our conversation yet! I was finally discharged from the hospital this morning and just got back home.
Good for you. So you'll take care of the divorce papers like we discussed, right?
I just went through your desk drawer and found the business card for the divorce lawyer. I still can't believe that you actually met with him already.
What, you thought that I was lying about it? No way. This is my chance to finally get away from all your nagging for good. I feel like a new man already. You have no idea how much your constant complaining was weighing down on me.
What's wrong with you? Marrying you has been the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. I absolutely regret wasting all the years we spent together.
At least that's one thing that we can agree on. I totally feel the same way. But what a pathetic ending for you, though, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, you lost the baby because you tripped and fell down some stairs, right? You've always been a bit clumsy, but you must be feeling really miserable about what happened. I'm just glad that there won't be any custody issues or child support involved in our divorce discussions, since there's no baby anymore.
I never said anything to you about falling down any stairs, though.
I know, but my mom told me everything, so I know what happened. You at least explained to her why you were hospitalized, right? I mean, she was there every day looking after you.
Yes, but I didn't fall.
What do you mean?
I never fell down any stairs, you moron!
Then why did you end up in the hospital in the first place?
The doctor found low amniotic fluid levels when she did the sonogram during my checkup. She wanted to make sure that I didn't go into premature labor, so that's why I had to be hospitalized right away.
What?
They were monitoring my fluid levels, but they were worried that it was putting stress on the baby, so I had to have an emergency C-section. The baby came earlier than expected, and she was really tiny and in critical condition when the doctors delivered her. That's why I called you that day, asking you to come to the hospital.
I had no idea. So, what happened to the baby?
She made it through. We were all surprised by how strongly she held on. But it doesn't change the fact that she was born prematurely. So even though I've already been discharged, the baby is still in the NICU for monitoring.
I don't understand, though.
Oh my gosh!
What is it?
I was just going to go upstairs to our bedroom, but there's a lifeless body that's lying in the middle of the staircase. Who is she? And what is she doing here?
What?
She looks like she's in her 20s, with long brown hair, wavy towards the ends. She has pale skin and really big eyes. She looks like a porcelain doll. She must come from a really well-off family. Do you know anyone that looks like this?
Marianne? But it can't be, because she's been on vacation with me for the past 5 days. There's no way that she would be lying dead in our home. Who the heck is that woman?
Oops. Look who spilled the beans.
Huh? What do you mean?
Did you actually think that I would be texting you that there was a dead woman in our house? As if I had all the time in the world? So let's hear the rest of the story. Who's Marianne? And what do you mean that you were taking a vacation with her?
Wait, that was just a mistake. My phone just autocorrected to Marianne, but I don't know anyone of that name. You have to believe me.
You're ridiculous. I just tried to trick you by telling a small lie. But I never thought that you would fall for it completely, and even go so far as to admit the name of your lover.
I told you that it was a mistake, and it's nothing like that.
Oh, and you better pay me back for the mannequin that you completely destroyed.
What are you talking about?
Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You shoved that mannequin down the stairs thinking that it was me. I still can't believe how you could do such a terrible thing.
Wait, but let me explain.
What is there to explain? Perhaps now might be the right time to start panicking, because there's no use trying to deny the truth. After you pushed the mannequin, which you thought was me, down the stairs, you made sure that it was completely still before you walked right past it so you can start packing for your so-called business trip. You seemed surprisingly calm as you were getting ready to leave, after you had supposedly harmed your pregnant wife. Why are you suddenly getting so worked up over this?
I'm just confused right now because you're bombarding me with all this nonsense.
What nonsense are you talking about? You know how I was using the extra bedroom right next to the second floor landing as my workroom? I happened to be cleaning out the room that day and left the mannequin outside on the landing.
I didn't even know you had such a thing.
And it wasn't just any kind of mannequin. It was specially designed to fit maternity clothing, so the belly was rounded like a woman in their last trimester of pregnancy. Oh, and it's also made with actual joints, so the proportions and movements are really human-like. So I guess that when you pushed it down the stairs, the mannequin body collapsed like a real human. So you didn't even realize that it actually wasn't me.
This is just a joke, right?
I just purchased it recently, too, so that I can design maternity wear for pregnant women like me. Just so you know, it had to be custom made, so it cost me over $1,000. And you better pay me back for every penny.
But how do you even know that it was me who pushed it down the stairs? It's not like you have any proof.
You're still gonna try and deny the truth? After everything I told you about what I already know?
Well, where's the proof then? Show me what you have. Unless you're just making this all up.
As a matter of fact, I have a video of the exact moment that you knocked the mannequin down the stairs. And what you said right afterwards. In case you don't remember, it was something along the lines of you being glad about finally getting rid of me. Everything is recorded, so you can see for yourself.
You were spying on me.
Like I said, I was cleaning out the bedroom when I heard some noise by the staircase. I stuck my head out into the hallway to see what it was, and that's when I saw you. It confused me to find you at home, because you should have been at work by that time. But something told me that I should get my phone out, because it just didn't feel right. And boy, am I glad I listened to my gut instinct.
But I was able to get into the house without you noticing.
I'm usually holed up in my workroom during the day, so you probably just assumed that I wouldn't notice. And I probably wouldn't have, except you made such a big commotion. Now, why don't you tell me the real reason why you attempted to throw me down the stairs?
Well, you've been really distant towards me and treating me as if I don't even exist ever since you found out about your pregnancy. And I didn't like that this unborn baby was taking priority over me. It was as if I no longer mattered to you anymore. So I considered getting a divorce and even went so far as to contact a lawyer about it. But then I realized that if we were to get divorced now, I would have to pay child support, which is the last thing I want to be responsible for.
If it really was me who fell down the stairs, like you intended, you certainly would have harmed the baby. But I would have been seriously injured at the same time, too. Did you even consider that? I'm completely disappointed in you, not only as the father of our baby, but as a human being as well. What have you done with your morals? If you even had any to begin with.
Don't try and put all the blame on me. You have no idea how stressed I was about everything. I was at my wit's end. But it's like you never had the time to sit and talk like you used to.
Oh, I see. So that gives you enough reason to push your wife down the stairs and leave her behind while you go on a vacation with your lover?
It's not what you think. She's not my lover.
Who are you trying to fool? You said yourself that you were taking a vacation with some girl named Marianne the past 5 days.
No, you probably just misunderstood. Marianne is one of our assistants at work, and she was just accompanying me on my business trip. That's all.
So are you saying that you confused your business trip for a vacation earlier? It's also funny, because you said earlier that your phone auto-corrected to Marianne, who you didn't even know. But now you're saying that she's one of the assistants from your office. You just have an endless supply of lame excuses, don't you? So, which is the truth?
There's just too much happening at once, so you can't blame me for being upset. I got confused about some of the facts, okay? Marianne is one of our assistants. That's the truth.
Well, maybe you should know then that I have proof of your affair. And not only that, I have a pretty good idea about who this Marianne is. I know what she looks like, too. When I tried to trick you earlier and describe the so-called woman who was lying dead at the bottom of our stairs, that's what Marianne looks like, right?
I bet you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just pulling nonsense out of your back pocket. Don't think that I'm going to fall for your ridiculous games again.
Games? You must be the only player involved because I have no idea what you're talking about. On the other hand, you've been coming home later and later from work ever since I gave you the news about my pregnancy. And you even work on weekends these days, which you've always refused to do ever since we were dating. In fact, I found this sudden change in your work habit a bit strange, so I hired a private investigator to follow you.
Stop bluffing.
If you still don't believe me, I can send you a photo of the two of you walking hand in hand as you checked out of a hotel together.
You weren't joking?
You had an account on several dating apps, pretending to be a bachelor, right? I have the report right here, so I can tell you everything I know if you want. You met Marianne on one of those apps and started dating her.
Well, that's not exactly...
And it also states in this report that she even introduced you to her parents. Her father is the CEO of some company, right? What were you thinking? That you could trick her into marrying you or something? Well, it turns out that you didn't actually get rid of me, which probably was an unexpected surprise for you. So I guess your entire plan of trying to get a part of her family's wealth was all for nothing.
How do you know all of that?
I hired one of the best private investigators in town and paid a hefty fee to get a thorough report on you. It put me back a few $1,000s, but what he gave me was well worth the expense.
What a waste. And for something so ridiculous. How could you spend my hard-earned money so carelessly like that?
Oh, don't worry. I didn't touch a single penny of the money that you earned. I paid for it all with my own money.
Yeah, right. There's no way that you earn enough with your hobby to afford such an expensive investigator. You said that it cost a few $1,000s, right?
Well, just so you know, I made more than $7,000 last month.
7,000? Did you put an extra zero in there by mistake or something?
Nope, there's no mistake. I'll even spell it out for you then. I made $7,000 last month.
You're just making that up.
Do you really think that I would lie to you in this situation? You're more of a bigger fool than I thought.
But that's more than twice what I make in a month.
How else did you think that the bank approved our mortgage for this house?
We applied for the mortgage under my name, though.
Initially, yes. But you got denied because of your credentials, remember? So we reapplied for the loan under my name, which thankfully got approved. And I've been making the monthly mortgage payments ever since.
What? How come you never told me that?
I told you. Except you were on your phone the whole time, so I don't think that you even heard half of what I was saying. Let alone remember any of the small details of our one-sided conversation.
So what you're saying is that the house belongs to you?
Exactly! I'm glad that we're finally starting to see things eye to eye. Once our divorce goes through, you'll be moving out of the house right away.
Just wait a second. You can't just kick me out like that. Where am I supposed to live?
That's really not my problem anymore. And because of the circumstances that led to our divorce in the first place, there's no room for disagreement when I end up with the better settlement, right? I'll make sure that you end up paying for your infidelity. Oh, and I plan on getting in touch with your so-called girlfriend as well.
No, please. She doesn't need to know anything about this.
Be quiet. You have no right to tell me what to do.
But you have to give me a chance to at least make this up to you.
Don't be ridiculous. Your intention was to get rid of me and the baby for good, just so you can be with your rich girlfriend. You already had your chance, but you only proved that you were just a selfish and backstabbing pea-brain. Oh, but the one saving grace out of this whole situation is that you arranged for your mother to accompany me to the hospital. And I'm certainly grateful that you did at least that.
Well, it was the obvious thing to do since my mother is experienced with childbirth. Wasn't she able to help you during the delivery, like I said?
Of course, but that's not the only reason why. I had collected quite a bit of proof about your affair, which I was able to show her directly. In addition to that video of you pushing my mannequin down the stairs, thinking that it was me.
You showed her everything?
Obviously. What else would I do with all of that information? As a matter of fact, I plan on sharing everything with everyone on your side of the family soon. I'm interested to see what they have to say about this situation.
What do you mean by everyone?
Your mother was kind enough to get in touch with all of your relatives and ask them to come over here right away. It's only a matter of time before they arrive. I can't thank her enough for everything she's done. I'm so glad that she stood by me this whole time.
I'm sorry for everything I've done. Please, you have to forgive me.
It's long past the time for an apology. And such a lame one of all kinds.
I promise that I'll make every effort to be a good father to our baby. And I'll prove to you that I'm no longer the selfish, arrogant fool that I used to be. You'll see that I'm a changed man now. So you have to reconsider the divorce.
Didn't you hear me the first time? It's too late to reconsider anything. I've already decided that I'm going through with a divorce, and nothing will change my mind about it. I have the financial means to raise this baby on my own, so there's no reason for me to keep you around anymore.
But what about me? What am I supposed to do from now on? There's no doubt that Marianne will break up with me if she finds out about everything.
Consider yourself lucky if all that she does is break up with you. But you had her believing that your relationship would end in marriage one day. Isn't that why she agreed to introduce you to her father? Unfortunately, though, you left out the detail that you were already married. She can probably sue you for that kind of deception.
I never meant to keep lying to her. It's just that I was never able to figure out the best timing to bring it up. And after some time, it was just too late to even mention it.
You're really hopeless, you know? And I'm no expert, but she may be entitled to claim compensation for damages, so you should probably be prepared for the worst.
My life is over.
What are you whining about? You brought all of this onto yourself. Anyways, I hope that you're going to show up to the family meeting that we're about to have now. Your mother is already here, and the rest of your relatives are already on their way, so you better make your way over here quickly. Oh, and if you try and turn your back on this again, I'll show you that your life can end up worse than it is now.
Okay, I get it. I'll be home soon. I promise.
After that, Sean showed up at home, just like he promised. And in front of his mother and all of his relatives, he agreed to getting a divorce. I bet the cold, stabbing stares from his family were more than he could bear, because he hardly made any complaints or tried to demand anything from me. It was very reassuring for me to have everyone on my side. On top of everything she had already done for me, his mother even called a lawyer to be present for this family meeting. And because of his presence, we were able to discuss the details of our settlement right on the spot. In the end, I was able to get $20,000 for damages, as well as $80,000 as child support from him. With hardly any savings of his own, Sean had to beg his mother and relatives for a loan, because the agreement was that he should pay the full amount in one installment. In addition, his girlfriend ended up suing him for defamation, and he was ordered to pay for damages once again. As you can imagine, he was left without a penny to his name. And unfortunately for him, it didn't all end there. Somehow, rumors about our divorce and the reasons behind it started to spread around his office. After some time, he started to feel out of place and couldn't help feeling more and more ashamed about his behavior. Unable to put up with feeling so inferior among his colleagues, he ended up giving his resignation notice shortly afterwards. Since then, he's moved back in with his parents, and under their supervision, is working several part-time jobs to try and pay back his debt. Or at least, that's what his mother told me the last time we spoke with each other. On the other hand, I'm slowly adjusting to being a single parent, which is much harder than I ever could have imagined. But every bump in the road helps build a stronger bond between me and my daughter, so it's all worth it in the end. Most importantly, our life is much calmer and more peaceful without that inconsiderate ex-husband around. I wish that one day, I will be able to completely erase his existence from my memory. But until then, I plan to enjoy the biggest and most beautiful joy that's sleeping so innocently in my arms right now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to see more content. See you next time.